Let's say you have a good friend that wants to learn Jiu Jitsu with you, and you're going to use this video as your very first class, where I get to deliver your very first lesson. The very first thing I would probably have you do is called the shrimp, sometimes called the hip escape. So what he's going to do here, he's going to lift up his hips using his legs, and then using his shoulder as a pivot point, he'll get on one shoulder like that. With the one shoulder that's on the pivot point, he's going to belly down somewhat and then bring his hips out where his hips are pointing in that direction. Okay, so if he does it again, and let's say he doesn't use the pivot, he bridges, he gets on the shoulder, but then he just uses the legs, you're trying to use the leg motion here to move across, which is very difficult because there's a lot of friction between your body and the mat. So what you want to do is rotate on the shoulder over here, and you can see his hips go that direction, and his feet or his legs will relatively be in the same spot. Where your partner comes into play, and to help with this, is they'll stand right here next to the hips. Okay, so let's turn this way a little bit. He'll place his hands, one on the bottom part of my shin, and one maybe on my knee. I'll need to keep my balance. So what he's going to try to do is thin his body and move his hips out using that same motion, okay? Once he's there though, let's back up 1/2 step. We're gonna move on to what's called the open guard. So again, he'll put his hands, use the hip motion, and then when he comes back and faces me, he'll put his feet onto my hips. Notice that his feet or his toes are pointing outward. It gives him better surface area for him to step. This is great because like if I try to push against him, we have strong legs that we walk around all the time, every day, that we have somewhat pretty good strength here to keep everything at bay. So what comes next here, it's called guard retention. This is called the open guard. What I'll do as for my partner is take one leg and I'll move it across and I'll move to the side here. What he'll need to do is use the shrimp motion or the hip motion that we learned earlier to move his body to face towards me. And then the top leg is gonna step on my hip with his toes facing inward. When he does that, this step here gives him the opportunity to reset the position. So if I pull my partner back, and we can make this into a drill. It looks like this. And I'm gonna go side to side here, so that way he can feel strong on both sides through lots of practice. If you're at home here with your partner, I recommend going, let's say 1 minute for 1 minute. And both of you would do 2 rounds each. It's great for your core, and it's great for your legs. Okay, so now what we'll move into is called the technical stand-up. And we'll continue to build an exercise here that I think that you would enjoy. So basically, he would be leaning to one side, one hand's going to be on the mat, and one foot is going to be here. So let's rotate you so you can face the camera. So right from here. So he has a point on this side and this side. So when he lifts his hips here, we create a bridge, so there's no space underneath. His hand is up, so just in case, let's say a self-defense situation happens, he can block against that. What he'll do now is he will turn his belly down and use this leg to step behind the hand. When he steps behind the hand, that's really important. So let's go back 1/2 step. So his foot is behind his hand. And remember the self-defense part? If I push against him here, his leg is a kickstand behind him. So now he can pick his hand up and he's ready to go with good balance. Let's say his foot is in front of the hand and I push against him. It's not enough to hold a post behind him and he'll end up falling down. So again, super important, when you lift up, belly goes down and step behind the hand before you stand up, okay? This is called the technical stand-up. How would we use that? Well, earlier we talked about, let's go this way. Earlier we talked about, let's say an opponent coming forward and using your open guard to help keep them at bay. because in a self-defense situation, he might be trying to punch you in the head, might be trying to clear your leg to try to punch the head, and now we're here, right? So what if I go in close and he pushed me far enough away, buys him enough time to stand up? Okay, so let's look at it again. Let's say I'm here and I'm gonna give some simulated resistance. So I'm moving against him, trying to maybe punch him in the head, and then at an opportune moment, he comes up. Which leads to our final part of this video. It's called the tripod sweep. So I'll be on the bottom this time. What we'll do here, and I'll show it what it looks like first, where I grab on, trapping one leg and the other one as I push. And I'm in a good situation here, or position. If we break that down here, my feet are in the open guard, and I want to control his posture by holding on to his jacket. Now that in the time of this video, we're in the fall, and we're starting to wear hoodies, we have jackets, so the sleeve is going to be available, and the collar is going to be available. So I'll pull on this to keep his posture down, and I'll actually push against his hips here to keep tension on. So if he tries to sit up or stand up, his posture is broken. Now what I'll need to do is trap his feet. I'm gonna move from his collar to his sleeve to have 2-on-1, but then I'll switch over to grab onto his pants. If his pants is not available, I can always grab onto the heel of his foot, okay? Not the big calf, because it feels too big for my hand to control. It's a lot easier at the ankle or on the heel. But since he has pants, I'll grab the pants. The foot here on the other side, since this is controlled and this leg is controlled, I need to control this foot. So I'll circle my foot behind his knee, and now I have somewhat of a control here. So if he tries to step back, my foot can be sticky. Now all I need to do is keep his foot in place, both places, and I'm going to push his hips back as I ride the energy with him falling with the grip that I have on his sleeve. Now there could be a moment here where, let's say your grip failed, either by a strong opponent, or maybe your grip got really tired. So I did everything correctly. So let's say I go back, did everything amazingly correct, and then as he fell, I lost that grip. So in a self-defense situation, my leg is already on top of his leg, so I have somewhat of control here, but that one's free. If he turns it in and he starts kicking towards me, I need to be able to block that. So what are we going to use from here? Earlier, we did the technical stand-up. So we have this blocking. So let's say he's kicking, I'm blocking. I will then let go, place my hand and foot where it needs to be. Go ahead and continue simulating the hip. I'll lift my hips, put my hand behind me, and now I'm up while the opponent is down. Let's look at it one more time, a little smoother. So what can you do with all of this? So let's say we're gonna bring all of the exercises together and make one entire training session for you. What would it look like? I would have you for about, let's say, 1 to 2 minutes. One person's going to be seated while I'm moving around, going into him, make him practice his open guard to push me back, make him technical stand up from here, make him, let's say, do a break fall, and then I come back. We also had where we were moving the legs, and he's getting his open guard back. Also, while that's taking place, he has the tripod sweep, which is the sleeve and the collar, and this trip here as we go through. So let's say I give you an objective. I'll give him the winning situations while I get to serve, kind of like a pitcher in baseball. Depending on my actions here, he will act with the techniques that we just covered. So I'll either come in, I'll move a little bit. Maybe I move back, invite him to technical stand-up, and then he resets with a break fall, and I come back again. Maybe I give him a little bit more aggressiveness as I move, and then he needs to capture my legs and my posture, and then he comes up. And we'll do this for maybe, let's say about a minute or two. And at some point, maybe he did the tripod sweep, and then he slipped. He still has the technical stand-up, and he's on his feet. So you can totally put all those things together. Go for about, let's say, 2 minutes. Your friend goes for about 2 minutes. And I'll challenge you both to go 3 rounds each. Give that a try.